Mom and Dad did teach us the long Ukrainian prayers that we had to do every morning and night, all kneel in a row and say these prayers. Then we said them, we memorized them, but we didn't know the meaning of many of the words until later when the service was translated into English. Then we found out what some of those big words meant. We thought maybe God smiled down on us anyway and for giving us credit for memorizing those big words. Ben, the joy of everyone's life. I was 10 years old when Ben was born. He was the only one of us born in a hospital. 'Tis a man's world, what else can I say? Sally, 6.5 years younger than I am. Little brown-eyed Susan. I do remember the day she was born. Like the rest of us, she was born at home. She was a tiny, pretty little girl whom we all adored. Because of the age difference, we were not playmates in our younger years, but bonded later as she grew up and became a pretty lady, whom we still all adore. Sally is known for her talent in sewing. Martha was definitely Daddy's girl. He had gray, blue eyes, and Mom had the brown eyes. So this gray, blue-eyed girl was Daddy's girl. She was such a cute little thing. When she dressed up, she looked like a yaya, which is a doll, and still does look like one. Judy, 1.5 years older than I am. Judy was the cute, petite one. She had a small waistline. This made her clothes look so good on her. She always looked kind of sexy. Chris is 3 years older. She was a hard worker. Dad really appreciated her. She never complained. She would work around the clock if she had to. Chris, the girl with the beautiful eyes. She was a person and still is a person you can always count on. Stella is 4.5 years older than I am. Remember her as a teenager. 4.5 years meant there were 3 other siblings between us. But she kind of was different. She wasn't a real hard worker, but she would pick out a dress in the New Eaton's catalog every fall, and she would tell Mom that she wants this dress, and then she would pout and sniffle a little until Mom would say, well, ask Dad. And then eventually it would be a yes from Dad, so she'd get this new dress. She always liked to look good, and she was a very pretty girl, and still is. Anne is 13 years older than I am. Worked very hard on the farm. I remember her, before I started school, I used to follow her around the farmyard. She'd be carrying these 2 pails, slop pails of things for the pigs, and I'd be walking behind her, touching her bum, going up, down, and she'd stop and slap me off and pick them up, and then start walking. I'd do the same thing again. So, but she did a lot of work, and I know they must have missed her dearly when she got married at the age of 19. Mom and Dad did talk about their trip across the ocean when they were coming from Ukraine to Canada. She said of course the sanitary conditions were deplorable, and many of the passengers were ill, day in and day out. A lot of throwing up, not only over deck but on the deck. So it was not pleasant at all. And another unpleasant part of it was that my mother left behind her mother and a sister and a brother and their families.
And why just your dad came over? Why not the other 2 brothers?
Oh, yeah. Well, the younger brother, he just decided, he bought my dad's and mother's property, and he just wanted to stay on. But the older brother, John, did apparently look into coming to Canada with his 4 children. But they were denied. Well, they were accepted, but his one son was an invalid, so they wouldn't, I guess the embassy then or whatever wouldn't allow him to come. They wanted only well people to come to Canada. Mother and Dad never ever wished to return to the village for a visit.
Why?
Well, one main reason was because it was under the communist regime, and my dad was very bitter. They were happy to be where they were. They never really, they would just sometimes say, oh, in Ukraine now, certain trees would be blooming or whatever. And I'm sure maybe they felt the nostalgia, but they never really said, oh, I wish we were back. Never. Never that I heard. I said, mother of 8. She was caring, loving, but did not show affection. Wasn't this type that would be a lot of hugs and kisses displayed. Not. She was, we always knew that she cared because of anytime we were ill, she would, oh, I wish I could be ill for you. I don't want you to be ill. I wish I could do it for you. As a woman, she liked nice things, tried to look her best. And in the early years, she would wear, of course, the same dress all week. We would remember, but always a different huge apron to cover this dress. And when the apron got soiled, off it came, and a different apron would come on, another one. So we always knew that she was the dress for the week. And then Sunday was the day of a clean dress, a white apron for the day, and then back to Monday, the everyday apron went over the dress. Leisure time, she loved music, she loved to sing, she had a good voice. She would love to watch us dance, or she'd like to dance with Dad whenever they went to a wedding or something. She didn't like cowboy songs or yodeling, she made fun of that. And she enjoyed making flowers out of crepe paper, sewing, embroidering, knitting. And a fond memory I have of her sitting at a sewing machine, and she'd be singing just softly to herself, and the machine would be humming, and you knew she was happy what she was doing. That was something. As a man, he would control his vocabulary when he got angry at the horses or at something that got broken or whatever. And he'd never a swear word would pass his lips when we were around. But he always called us, I don't know if I told you, but he always called us, he'd say, Senu, would you go and get whatever for me, fetch something or get something for me? And Senu in Ukrainian means son. And so we thought it meant child. And I think he treated it in the manner that was child. Would you run and, do this, or give me my mitts or whatever. And so, but he was, yeah, he always, well, I guess you don't miss what you've never had, maybe. And, but he was good to all the girls. I think he was to all of them. I don't know if anybody else thought so, but he was definitely good to me. On Sundays, it was sort of a ritual. He would shave, that's the only day he shaved, and he would brush his teeth with the end of the towel and dipped in salt. And he'd clean his teeth with this end of the towel and salt. And that was Sunday cleanup. And but his teeth were fine till his 90s. And finally he got dentures when he was 92. As I think back of my father, a song comes to my mind, and that's Oh, mine Papa, to me you are so wonderful.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, mine Papa, to me he was so wonderful. Oh, mine Papa, to me he was so good. Fathers in those days were more reserved than now. They didn't hug, or he didn't hug or bounce us on his knees, but when he would gently touch the top of your head with his hand or touch your cheek, you knew that love poured from his fingertips. I can't believe it's finally happened. It is long overdue, and it looks like it's turning out super good, and I'm glad, and I'll be also even happier on Sunday evening when it's all over. But I think it was great. It's been great.